This has two connections that come off of it, and you need to do both of them. So this one goes to the input, this one goes to the ground, and I'll show you where those holes are right now. Okay, so for this one, this is where I pulled the hole from, or pulled the wire from the hole. So this goes around to the back of the guitar and then gets soldered into the butt plate of the springs. And over here is the drilled hole that goes over to the input jack, which on this guitar, it's not quite like a Strat. It's more like an Epiphone, and it has its hole there. So that means we're gonna have to do some stuff there. It's not quite as workable as a Strat is. If you have a Strat, then your hole is somewhere right there. And what would be even better is if they just put the dang input on the pickguard. I don't know why they do that. But anyway, yeah, so that's gonna be the next thing we do. So that's roughly back in place. I'm gonna do this one first. This is my ground, and going to twist and tin these leads. Okay, I'd say that's decently tinned. Okay, so now, like we said, hot ground. Ground is the sleeve, and just like the sleeve, this is also the outer braiding of this. The inner is the signal. So, sleeve to ground. Really, this wire should be a lot longer. I can sort of see now why that was the failure point for this, because any way you try to sort of move this, it just always seems to be just too short really to have this a little bit loose and then also have this in here. So yeah, it just doesn't really make for a good working, area. So anyway, we're going to check these connections just like we did before and make sure that they are all good before we close it up, or, well, we got to move on to the ground on the back, so don't forget that. Okay, so now we are finally on to the last electrical connection we need to make, which is this ground on the butt plate right here. And yeah, this one's always kind of a pain, because it's so big. You need a lot of heat in order to get it heated up in a meaningful amount of time. So I'm probably just gonna sit here and just heat this thing up for a while. Imagine you're a part on the guitar. What part would you be? The reason that this is so important is because the butt plate is connected to your bridge via the springs. The springs are actually electrically conductive, and so their contact with the bridge then grounds your strings. So if you've ever been in an occasion where you get a lot of noise or a lot of hum when you're not touching your guitar strings, or when you're not playing, it's probably because this is disconnected and your bridge and your strings are electrically isolated from the rest of the circuit in your guitar, and that means that it is no longer grounded. And that means that there can be, you know, influx of electricity through your strings that then need to be grounded. And if you've ever been playing a guitar and then go up to a microphone while you're touching your strings, you might get shocked. This is why, because you may have some loose connection. Or it could be that the microphone itself isn't grounded and it's now grounding itself through your guitar. So either way, bad times if you're not grounded. And when you're soldering, you really don't want to press the solder into the gun. You want to press it somewhere right next to it and wait for that area to be hot enough to melt the solder. All right, I'd say that's good enough right now. Again, we're just trying to get this thing playable. Cool. So we have a nice connection there. I just checked it at the top of the wire there on the other side of the soldering joint and then pressed it into the butt plate. And that's a connection. That means that the solder is holding it in place and electrically connecting it. So the next step is to put the bridge on, put the strings in the back, and throw some strings on it. And that'll be pretty much it.